Hey everyone, and welcome back to Practically Zero Waste, a podcast for making zero waste living as practical as possible. Before we dive in here today, I want to say thank you to everyone supporting the podcast through your donations once a month. If you're interested in helping support future podcast making, you can go to anchor.fm/practicallyzerowaste and hit the support button and start donating. I'll leave a link for that in the show notes as well. And if you're interested in leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, you just scroll down to the bottom of the app and hit as many stars as you like. Okay, enough of all that. Today I chat with Charlotte from the blog A Zero Waste Life, all about ways to save the world, but mainly about living zero waste with food and seasonal allergies and sensitivities. Because how do you shop bulk when you have a nut allergy? How do you fight pollen without blister packs of medication? Charlotte was such a cool person to talk to and had lots of good, practical, realistic approaches to living zero waste almost every day. So let's get to it. Hi, Charlotte. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background and how you started your low waste journey?
Yeah, of course I can. So I have now been living zero waste for 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
So the whole concept started just before 2017, so just before the new year. I was chatting with my friend Anna, who I now run the blog with, and we were thinking about all the waste that we'd ever created up until that point. The waste that you create in a weekly food shop and how it's just plastic wrapping, to eating out, all of these different things. We were thinking about just waste as a whole, and we were imagining all the waste we'd produced up until this point in our lives. So we're about probably 22 at this time, and we were imagining that waste just sat on a landfill, because we were seeing things online and in the news about how certain items just weren't breaking down, especially if they were plastic based.
Right. I was wondering how you even discovered the zero waste as an option and how you became aware that you were creating waste.
I don't know, it was sort of a chicken and egg thing where we were watching videos online of people like Lauren Singer from Trashers for Tossers, and B. Johnson from Zero Waste Home. So when we came across them, we were like, oh, okay, we produce a heck of a lot of waste. How do they avoid this? Oh, it's zero waste living. That's how they do it. Okay, let's have a research for what that actually means and whether that's possible for us. And then we're like, oh, we could try this out. We could give this a go. So we decided that the two of us we'd have a New Year's resolution in 2017 that we'd go a full year zero waste.
Wow.
So we started off very optimistic. We thought, it's going to be nice and easy. It's just, at that point, we were living in house shares. We were like, it'd be super easy. We can just control what we throw away, no problem. But then come sort of mid-January, we realised actually it was quite hard work. And obviously, as soon as you start to audit something that you weren't auditing before, you realise all these bad habits that you have that you did not have any awareness of beforehand.
Yeah.
So what we had to do was sort of break it down into manageable areas. So I'd always say it's impossible to go zero waste overnight. It just does not happen. And if anyone is going to take that approach, you're almost going to fall at the first hurdle because it's really hard work. So what we had to do was start with our small wins. So our small wins were just stuff like bringing a water bottle when we went out, or taking cutlery.
Yeah.
Saying no to straws, because back then they were given out all over, wherever you go, they'd give them out. It wasn't a thing, people didn't realise that they were bad for the environment, so they were just given out all the time. So those were our little wins in a way. And when we achieved those little wins, and they became something that was more in our everyday habits, like we were used to bringing our own things, or we were used to refusing single-use items, then we could look at the next thing that we needed to tackle. So that might have been our bathroom routine, and it might be looking at how sustainable our bathroom routine was. Were we using single-use plastics or single-use items? What could we switch to make that a zero-waste routine? And then it was almost like each area, when we'd achieved lower waste in that area, it was like another injection of excitement to go on to the next area. So then maybe we'd move into our kitchen and we'd think, okay, what can I use instead of cling film? What can I use instead of tin foil? And I always and I still do now actually, I see it as as a game in a
Yeah.
way. I see it as like, oh, what's an alternative that I can use for this? What's going to save me money in the long run? Or how can I hack this situation so I don't need to buy something new? What do I already have in my house that could double up as something else?
Exactly. Yeah.
Having that sort of mindset has made the journey really good fun. So often people think, oh, but you're depriving yourself all of this stuff. And yeah, I mean, there are things that obviously you can't have when you're living zero waste. So one everyone says is packets of crisps, chocolate bars, and obviously, yes, I miss those things. But what I'd say is that there have been so many benefits to me switching to this
Totally.
lifestyle that I could never have foreseen. So I didn't know, for instance, that it was going to save me money. I didn't know that I was going to be eating better because I can't eat junk food anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it would be the sort of lifestyle that gets me out and about more because I suddenly appreciate my local community in a way I didn't before. You know, I want to be growing my own fruit and veg, so I've got an allotment now and I'm out and about doing that.
That's great.
So it's those sorts of benefits that I always want to share with people when they're thinking about lowering their waste, because if you're at the start of your journey, they're things that you wouldn't even consider would come into your journey. You'd just be like, oh, I'm going to have to give up crisps. That's rubbish. Like, I don't want to give those up. Whereas if you can sort of talk about, you know, the more holistic approach of how my life is different now compared to what it used to be, that's suddenly way more appealing to someone.